This video is going to apply to you. Thanks for visiting our sawmill. Hey folks, welcome to another weekly edition of Sawing with Robert Milton at Hobby Hardwood. Today we're going to be talking about something that is relevant to every single person who owns a sawmill and wants to dry the highest grade lumber possible. Doesn't matter if you own a chainsaw mill, if you own a manual mill, if you own a production mill, man, if you own a Ronco cookie slicer, it really doesn't make any difference. If you're trying to make lumber and you're trying to make the best possible, then this video is going to apply to you. And what's interesting is that it has nothing to do with the sawmill. Nada. That's why we're not even over at the sawmill. We're over here in our building. You're going, what, has this guy gone crazy again? You probably say that a lot when you watch my videos, but the thing you got to realize is that we do have a multi-million-dollar business producing the highest grade lumber in the state. We are ranked the best 2 years running. We're going to try to do it for 24. I don't know. I like to think maybe we have some of the highest grade lumber in the country. So the thing is, producing the best lumber certainly requires a sawmill, but there's a lot more to it than that. It's like telling a professional chef that the only thing he has to worry about to make a good T-bone steak is a meat cleaver. One of the most overlooked and most important steps to producing ultra high grade lumber is shown here in the background. Can anybody see it? It's one of those, you can't see the forest for all the trees. Maybe you can't see the trees because of the forest. But either way, is there anything that stands out in the back besides there's about a dozen different species of lumber that is dead stacked? Also, that the same thing is seen when you're watching my sawmilling videos. I don't know if this is starting to sound stupid or not, but the bottom line is there is one, holy crap, hey little bird. I mean, seriously. I start talking and a bird flies in. Ain't that something? I mean, I guess this is going to be a good video. Start talking and birds start flying in on me. Ain't that cool? Well, so anyway, let's talk about the one thing that's in common with every single step you see me make, whether it's some of the earlier videos of me pulling lumber out of the kiln, whether it's me sawing every week, whether it's me walking through the building here, there's one thing you're going to see everywhere. And I have to give it credit for being one of the most important things that we have adopted. I should say we have improved to the point where I will not crank up my sawmill unless I have this ready to go. And you're going, now what is this magical thing? It's easy. It's a pallet. It's a pallet. It's not really a pallet per se, because pallets have tops and bottoms. Let's talk about these things here. But they're not really pallets since they don't have a bottom, so they're actually called bottomless pallets or skids. One thing you'll notice is that they're on 16-inch spacing, like when you're air drying. So let's just look around. If you don't believe me that they're not everywhere, look. Everything is on it. I'm just gonna call it a pallet because it ain't a pallet, it's a skid. I just don't like skids, you know, skid marks in your pants, all that kind of crap. So I'm not a big fan of skids. I do like the word pallet. It's got kind of an industrial feel. Kind of gives it a little bit of camouflage because it's much more than a pallet. Pallets, bottomless pallets, have spacings equal, whoop, that was knocked over, to the stickers. Highly reusable. The boards come off the sawmill. and immediately go onto a pallet. Then those go to the air drying rack, and we never have to handle them again. We use a forklift. After they've air dried anywhere from six weeks to a year, we pick them up again, put them in the kilns. After they've been kiln dried, we bring them into the barn. We do our secondary processing. They go back on the skids or the pallets, and then they come over here as dead stacked, ready to sell lumber. At no point is the wood never at home on a pallet. It's that important. Pallets, or like I say, bottomless skids, keep the wood flat. It's called sympathetic bow. If you've ever noticed it, when you start to stack up so many stacks of lumber on air drying sticks or any stickers, if you look down it, you will notice the wood is always bowing up in the middle, maybe a quarter of an inch. You ought to check it with your own wood. Sympathetic bow. It's basically got to do with the forces exerted on the ends of the pack versus the middle of the pack. And if your pack gets too high and you don't have enough weight on it, you don't have the weight evenly distributed, you'll get sympathetic bow. It looks like a McDonald's arch. If you don't believe it, go to your air drying packs right now. Well, actually wait till the video's over. Sight down your pack. I mean, look like a sight, and tell me that those boards aren't going up and down if you're not using a pallet or if you're stacked over. I shouldn't say this, here's a secret, about 24 layers high. That's our optimum stacking height. Boy, I tell you what, I'm glad nobody watches these videos because I am giving you out some secrets that you can take to the bank. You put the runners, the spacing that you're going to put your stickers. That way when you stack your air-dried pallets up, the runners go directly on line with the stickers. You get a perfect transfer of force. You never stack more than 24 layers high, 25 at the most. That helps keep the wood from getting a sympathetic bow. So you stack up, and you get, once you reach your height, you get another pallet. You stack up, you reach that height again, you get another pallet. If you don't need to go that high, don't worry about it. Basically what it does is this applies equal force through the entire system to keep your wood flat when it's air drying, while it's in the kiln, and when it's in the warehouse dead stacked. You'll notice we have lots of short packs, but we never stack high. I mean, high as in lots of quantity. You do want to stack high because that puts weight on things, and in the case of this, you can see where the weight transfer goes from that runner to that runner to that runner to that runner. Everything is in line. So if it's that important, why aren't other people doing it? I don't know. Not my problem. Some are. My wife, Martha, is the one that came up with this actual idea years ago to shift from normal bottom pallets to open bottom skids. The reason we wanted to do that is we were having issues with normal pallets with a top and a bottom. We were having issues where imagine this was an air dried, this is a stack of lumber going into air drying, and you got a bottom layer of wood on it. Then you trap moisture and you sticker stain this top layer. So basically what we started doing was we started putting stickers under the pallets, between the pallet and the boards. And then we decided, well, that's stupid. Why don't we just take the bottom layer boards out and use the 2x4s or whatever we're using as simulated stickers. So now these are actually no different than if you're putting spacers in the wood. Take steps to save steps. Make open bottom skids. Do not put the bottom on because that will cause sticker stain. So here's another secret. I'm sure you've heard of powder post beetles. I hope you've heard of powder post beetles. They are the meanest little devils known to man. I've probably lost more lumber in my early career to powder post beetles getting in wood than anything. Typically, they're going to do it while you're air drying. Somebody finds out you got powder post beetles in your wood, you might as well close the door because nobody will ever shop at your place again. They are that bad. So you've got to go to extreme measures to keep the little monsters from infesting your wood. Softwood powder post beetles like softwood. Hardwood powder post beetles like hardwood. The key is the pallet runners have to be made out of a different wood than what you're stacking. So if you're stacking all hardwood, then you need to make your runners out of softwood like pine, spruce, something, not hardwood. If all you're doing is sawing up a bunch of pine and you're air drying that, then you need to make your runners out of a hardwood. Basically, you're making an insulative quarantine gap between the wood stacks, between the wood stacks. That's incredibly important. I have seen powder post beetles go from one layer of wood, say hardwood, oak, through hardwood stickers into the next layer of hardwood and bore all the way through a pallet. I've seen it. It's happened to me in my early career. It's heartbreaking. You just want to scream because you've just let Mother Nature do what Mother Nature does and ruin a literal shit ton of wood, high dollar wood. So what do? You put an insulator, you put a barrier in there. Well, you can't put a physical barrier simply because you've got to get air between the rows of wood to dry. This is the advantage of having a kiln. It sterilizes all the wood, including the pallets that the wood is stacked on. So then after you've done the secondary processing on the wood, like you've planed it or you've straight lined it or whatever you want to do on it, now you have a clean, sterile pallet to put that wood back on. That's what we do. That's why all the pallets in here have been through a sterilization cycle with wood stacked on them. The wood is sterile, the pallets are sterile, there ain't no bugs in this building. That's a key thing about these pallets. I used to not do it. I ruined lots of wood. I see a lot of people still not doing it. I see a lot of their wood being ruined. If you don't make good skids and they're not flat and level, then any wood you stack on them, guess what? It ain't gonna be flat and level. Your lumber is gonna take the shape of what you put them on. If you want flat lumber, look how flat that sucker is. I bet you can just sight right down. Look at that. It's flat. These pallets are old. Got cracks in them. Doesn't matter. They've all been run through a planer. They're all dimensionally accurate. Some are beat up. This one needs swapping out. You're not going to believe it, but some of them, I don't see any right quick here. Oh, there's one. Look, there's still a barcode on this one. Something, something, something. Right next to homemade. Run them through your planer. Get everything dimensionally accurate. Set your planer to 3.5 inches. Run every single runner through the planer. Get them all perfect. Take your top boards. Run them through your planer. Make them all, you don't have to make them flat. The screws will bring them down, but they need to be dimensionally accurate. The last thing you want to do is build a pallet that's got waves in it. Because if you're going to use that pallet, say 12 times over its life, then every single pack of wood you put on it is going to take that crazy shape. Look how, I don't know if you can see it, look how flat this guy is. Flat pallets make good wood. So I told you some of the criteria: flat, plain, dried, dimensionally stable, no bottoms, and the runners need to be a species different than your majority of your sawing. And let's go make some. Thanks for visiting our sawmill. Click on the links above to see more of our videos.